Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, and I'm in pain. I'm not kidding. I'm really in pain. I just had oral surgery. This side of my face is still numb, and the only reason I'm smiling is because they gave me codeine, which tends to help with those things. At least it elevates your mood, even if you're in pain. But this fact got me to thinking, of course, about music, because everything makes me think of music one way or another. I was thinking about, I wonder what pieces are out there that actually evoke physical pain in music. I don't mean music like Pierre Boulez that causes physical pain. I mean music that's representative of physical pain, programmatic music or otherwise, or that we can reasonably relate to something which is physically painful or happens, or the composer said something. I don't know. Anyway, I got to thinking about it, and as I was waiting for the pain to subside, which it hasn't yet, as the whatever they put in there, Novocaine or lidocaine or whatever the heck it is, wears off. And a bunch of pieces popped into my head, and I'm going to share them with you just because I can. Now, if you're squeamish, you may not want to continue watching this video, but I don't know. I think that even when we suffer, we can have a good time, right? I mean, maybe that's the masochist in me, but here we go. I'm starting out with a wonderful, wonderful orchestral work by Jan Dismas Zelenka that he called Hypochondriac. Hypochondriacs are always in pain. I mean, they like being in pain. In fact, that's kind of what happens in this piece. You have sort of a happyish, quasi-sadish guy who later becomes happier. But the hypochondriac is a single movement. No one knows why he called it that. But the fascinating thing about it is that it begins with something that sounds suspiciously like a Baroque tango. I mean a tango, a tango. Listen to this. Just listen to a bit of this. I don't know whether it's hypochondriacal or not, but you got to hear it. So it gives me an excuse. Amazing, isn't it? Like everything Zelenka wrote. His music is so characterful. That was Collegium 1704 on Supraphon, and it was Zelenka's Hypochondriac. But once we get past the general personality that enjoys or searches out or is always kvetching about the experience of pain, we get to actual pieces of music. One of the most telling of those is Smetana's first string quartet, which he subtitled From My Life. Now, as you may know, Smetana went deaf, and his deafness was accompanied by tinnitus, the name of my record label. That's what it is, the record label. Remember, I'm on codeine. If I get a little bit spaced out, you understand why. But he had tinnitus. It had caused a constant hissing and buzzing and very, very irritating and painful condition in his ears. And he depicts this in the finale of the first string quartet, which is going like gangbusters. And then all of a sudden, you hear that tone on the first violin, and the reaction is quite distressing. And I'm not making light of this because it's a very tragic piece of music. It truly, truly is when you hear it. Listen to this, and my tooth thing isn't tragic, not by any stretch of the imagination, just painful. Anyway, here is a bit of the finale, the moment in question of Smetana's first string quartet, played by the Pinocchio Quartet on Supraphon. go. That's obviously the expression of pain. I don't really know of a better case, but I have some others. One of the most fascinating and amusing expressions of pain, in this case it's comical pain, it's slapstick pain, it's fantastical pain, is Sibelius's tone poem Pohjola's Daughter. Now, Pohjola, in case you're curious, is a place. It's not a person. Everyone thinks, oh, it must be the daughter of some guy named Pohjola. No. Pohjola, however you pronounce it, means anything in Finnish that has ola at the end of it is a place name. It's an inflected language. It has 23 case endings. Like, for example, Ainola was Sibelius's wife's house. Means Aino's place. It's the la or the ola. I think it's la that does it, but that's what it does. So Pohjola means the daughter of the north. That's what it means. So she's a mystical creature who has like a magic spinning wheel, and she gives the hero Väinämöinen. Don't even ask me, especially in my phased condition. My pronunciation is going to be even worse than ever. But Väinämöinen has to have a bunch of impossible tasks. Supposedly there are, I think, 3 of them, but Sibelius only talks about 2 of them in the tone poem. And one of them involves doing something crazy, and Väinämöinen winds up amputating his own foot. Ha 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 ha. That's painful. Now, the moment when he amputates his foot is quite curious because it involves a figure in the orchestra which is either his howls of frustration or, alternatively, it could just as well be the Pohjola's daughter's laughter at his clumsiness and at his wounding himself. And then all the stuff that happens underneath it and the craziness that ensues is him howling and raving and carrying on. Very interesting to see what you think of it. So I'm going to play that passage. This is Leif Segersam with the Helsinki Philharmonic on Undine in the amputation of the foot scene of Pohjola's Daughter. Get it? Is she laughing at him, or is he screaming at her? It works both ways. Sibelius is wonderful, isn't he? At some point, we're going to talk about the tone poems more extensively. And if you're watching this several years hence, it could be that we already have. So there you go. Oh, yes, I can't leave this one out. Elgar's Second Symphony. You know the story of the third movement. There's this wonderful tune in the first movement. It's sexy, it's luscious, it's yummy. And Elgar called it evil. Ooh, evil. An evil, malignant influence wandering through the garden, something like that. Well, evil comes back in the third movement and sounding initially very beautiful and then transforming itself into a nightmarish, warped vision, which, accompanied by pounding percussion, which Elgar said himself that it represents that kind of feverish pounding in your head when you have a fever and a headache and it won't let go of you and it's just making you crazy and you're in agony and you're writhing. And, well, I added the writhing bit. But it sounded good. So let's listen to the feverish pounding agony section of the third movement of Elgar's Second Symphony. So there you go. Get it? However, my all-time favorite expression of pain and suffering really is, in terms of, just a graphic concept of what's happening, is the climax of the first movement of Carl Nielsen's Sixth Symphony. Now, I just did a talk on the Nielsen symphonies, so I was in a Nielsenian frame of mind before oral surgery, and I was thinking of this piece as you could hear the, gizmos gizmoing and the cutting and scraping, and, it just sort of popped into my head. But let me tell you, Nielsen had angina. He had a bad heart and had several heart attacks. And I've had a heart attack. And I can tell you that the pain I felt when I was having a heart attack, it was like something was trying to rip my arms off. It was the most unbelievable pain I have ever felt. And it was this sound. I am not kidding. And I am telling you, as an experienced heart attackian, that what Nielsen was expressing in this music was an attack of angina. It's that kind of pain expressed in music. And as I said in my Nielsen talk, the thing about Nielsen is that he's so direct. He's so completely direct in everything that he does. When he wants to be funny, he's funny. When he wants to be angry, he's angry. When he wants to do a battle, he has two sets of timpanis, slug it out. When he wants to pit the snare drum against the orchestra to stop it, he says to the snare drum, try and stop the orchestra and improvise. He's that kind of composer. And so this moment is a moment of just extraordinary physical pain. I am not kidding. Listen to it and judge for yourself. But I suspect you may agree with me. Here it comes. See what I mean? Scary, isn't it? Because it's so graphic. It's just so real. And it's done with such simple means. All he's doing is opposing two musical notes a half step apart that balance each other and just grind at you like that and won't go away. Oh my God, it's horrifying. And that was the Danish National Radio Symphony Orchestra, conducted by Michael Schoenwandt on Da Capo. An amazing moment. And since we've suffered so much now, I think we need to ask ourselves, what do we do to alleviate the pain? Well, there is one solution, and that is found in the second movement of George Lloyd's Charade Suite. He would have called it charade. The charade suite. Yes, it's the charade suite. But it's called LSD. That'll get you for what's hurting you. I mean, this is a wonderful piece in 6 movements. The movements are called Student Power. It's from the 60s. It's about the 60s, and it's just the best evocation of the 60s. Student Power, LSD, March In, Flying Saucers, Pop Song, and then Party Politics. But here's a moment from LSD where it's obvious that the druggie in question is feeling no pain. See what I mean? Oh, I got to tell you something. LSD gets a little scarier as it goes. And I would not recommend that solution for what ails you, because this particular treep? What's a treep? I have no idea. That's the codeine speaking. This particular trip ends up in a particularly horrifying and scary place. It really does. So we rule that out. Codeine, it's okay. I don't particularly care for it, but One didn't hurt, at least only an hour or two after surgery. But I think the best solution for this kind of annoyance and pain for me is to talk to you. So I want to thank all of you, every single one of you, for helping me get over this particular miserable moment and giving me something else to think about, because distraction is the key to forgetting about anything that hurts. It really is, whether it's physical, mental, or anything else. And putting this little talk together has given me a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to forget my oral surgery. Thank you so much for joining me and helping me recover. Take care. I'm back. I forgot to say keep on listening. It's the damn codeine. Keep on listening. Okay, you get the point, right? Thanks a lot. I'm going to take a nap.